What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the show. Today we're going to be talking about Capcom's latest attempt at keeping one of their most reputable franchises fresh in Resident Evil 8 Village. This is the 24th installment of the franchise and is the sequel to the 2017 Resident Evil 7 Biohazard. And in this game, we basically see our new protagonist, Ethan Winters, go on a journey, if that's what you want to call it, and trying to reclaim his daughter and figure out what's going on and why he just keeps being tormented and basically brought back into this whole bioweapon fold, which at first, I'll give the game credit. I always seem to forget. In the beginning of the games that it's all about bioweapons and stuff like that, but the way the game throws you into this level, this world that it built, it's really impressive. Like the level design was really dope. It was immersive as usual. Most Resident Evil games, the level design is really good, and you notice that from the jump. Especially the presentation, the graphics are amazing, and from the beginning, that opening scene where basically Mia gets lit up.
At least we're all together. You, me, Rose. Now, everything's gonna...
Mia! Somebody stop the damn man!
It was crazy. Like my jaw was on the floor, and I hadn't seen any trailers at all for the game, so I had no idea what to expect, and I was pleasantly surprised, which sounds messed up to say, but you know what I'm trying to say. I was just invested already. I'm like, oh, they killed the guy's wife, where's the daughter going? And Chris shows up again.
Chris? What the hell?
Sorry, Ethan.
No! What? Why?
He gets basically they redid his character model for the most part, and this is where the game, it kind of just drops you in the world out of nowhere, where you're in this car and you wake up and you just plunge into this area, which I don't even know. I guess we'll call it the village because we don't know where it is exactly, but yeah, from the jump, you felt that feeling of helplessness. That's what you always want in Resident Evil. And real quick, I do want to say I played the game in the regular difficulty, not the hard one or anything. I wanted to, enjoy the game and not stress myself out playing it, because I think we can all agree that Resident Evil games can be very difficult, very, very difficult. But I played it on the standard difficulty, and even in the beginning, I think I only died maybe twice or 3 times throughout this entire playthrough. So it was very apparent that as tense as the environment was, as exhilarating as the combat was, the regular, gotta go for the headshots, push the bodies back, managing your inventory, all the classic stuff we see in Resident Evil. It just felt way too easy at a certain point. And I don't know if it's because, of the pushback that apparently fans gave the game or the previous game, because it was too tense. So they wanted it to be a little bit easier and less frightening, which is just straight up ridiculous. I really hope other studios don't follow this trend of really giving in entirely to demands like this from a fan base, because that's what the game is. I remember literally my cousin playing Resident Evil, I think it was 2, on the PS1, and it was horrifying.
Hell no, to the no, no, no. Hell to the no, hell to the no, to the no, no, no. Hell no, no, to the no.
Like we stopped playing this sometimes because it was just too much, and I don't know, he definitely did because he was terrified of zombie games. But it's real disappointing to see that. Maybe if I had played it in a harder difficulty, it would have been better. But nonetheless. So we're plunged into the village, and you slowly walking around, figuring out what it is, how the game works and whatnot. And it took me a little bit just because I played Biohazard, which is 7, like way back in 2017, and I never played it again. You know, like I played it for a little bit again, but then I stopped because I wasn't trying to do all the backtracking and all that, which is part of the games. But regardless, I forgot, you know, how things worked for the most part and whatnot, because I'm so used to playing, you know, I just finished playing 3 and 2, the remakes, which are really good. But you know, after walking around the village, figuring out how things worked, and then your first run-in with the Lycans, which, fun fact, I love that whole mythology stuff, you know, lycanthropy and Dracula and vampires and all that. So really, really cool the setting they chose here. Like, I was honestly blown away by the castle, the village itself, even the house where one of the later bosses is waiting for you, you know, dealing with the dolls and all that. All the levels for the most part were pretty cool. So that's a couple positives from the jump. You know, I was just surprised at the opening level and the presentation, like the graphics were on point, the lighting was on point. The main thing that was apparent from the beginning of the game, and honestly is in most Resident Evil, or even you could say Japanese games, is the writing was just so weird, so cliche and so weird, felt out of place. Like all Ethan says is "what the hell."
What the hell? What the hell happened here? Where the hell am I? What the hell was that? What the hell is wrong with this place? What the hell? What the hell?
What the hell? What the hell? Over and over, and it just seemed a little cheesy. Like, you would see a dead body and he would say, "A dead body," like, you know, "Thanks for the info, bro." And then even later on, like like the things he chooses to say in the most tense moments, like,
Rose is Evelyn's true, complete form. She will grow to fully control the masses. And I must have her.
Fuck you, you crazy bitch!
I don't know if they're trying to make him seem courageous or relatable, but it completely did not work. The main reason I had to get behind Ethan was basically just him doing what he could for his
family.
But he could relate to that, you know, and also it was somewhat interesting and cool to see him, you know, try to help out the villagers as much as he can, or the few villagers that were there. But other than that, man, he was just really corny. Like, I guess this is just gonna be something as long as we have Ethan Winters, or honestly, it's just gonna be around Resident Evil for the most part. But honestly, you know, even with the writing hijinks that the game had with Ethan, mainly with Ethan, honestly, because that's one thing I do want to talk about is the rest of the characters in the game. You know, like the boss characters, the supporting characters, definitely mainly the boss characters. They were all pretty strong in my opinion. You know, you had the main 4, and then you had Mother Miranda, and of course, you gotta talk about her, Lady D. Yo, again, I did not see any trailers.
Oh, be careful what you wish for.
I have seen her, so I did know of her. Obviously, she's beautiful, but I don't know what her story was in the game and whatnot. So when it's a double-edged sword, because it's pretty cool that she was the first boss that you fight, you know, because she had, I don't even think Capcom knew what they really had with her, but she had such fanfare behind her. So to see her that early right away was awesome. And again, I mentioned my favorite level was the castle, and I thought that she was like very intimidating. Albeit, again, and this goes back to what I mentioned before, that the game was pretty easy. You know, she was one of the stalker type enemies, and it wasn't too hard to get around her. But when she did show up, excuse me, she was really cool. She always and you know, I do have to mention, like, the acting, you know, aside from the lines, and you know, I mentioned in other reviews that you can only do so much with the writing that you do have. Ethan was definitely the recipient of a lot of the cheesy lines here, of most of the cheesy lines, but everybody else was great. And even you'll see in the bonus footage that comes in the actual game of the actors actually portraying their characters, and it was just really cool to see, you know.
What the fuck?
Sorry, Ethan.
and it was disappointing too. What was disappointing rather was the fact that she was killed off so early in the game. Like, you're going through this castle, you're finding little tidbits of lore, and that's one thing that the game does really, really well, that helps establish a really believable universe. You know, Resident Evil has been doing this since I think 94, I forget, or 96, I have to check again, but their world is always full of a lot of lore. If you want more of it, there's always a lot more that you could look on yourself. But what was there in the game about Lady D, I'm gonna try to pronounce it, Dimitrescu, I think it's Dimitrescu, but yeah, the lore about her and her 3 daughters, and how she, like, you actually read about that she found these 3 women. I'm not sure under what circumstances, but she experimented with the fly, I forget the name of the insect in the game, but she experimented on them, and you see the notes of Lady D, where she's actually talking about how they developed and whatnot, and it just added layers to the game that kept me interested, you know? Like, it, again, I always forget that it's always bio stuff, you know, it's Umbrella Corporation, but the game throws that all away and gives you something fresh in the beginning when you realize how these characters behave, whether they're bioweapons or not, and that's what makes it really interesting. So the main boss fights, they were pretty fun, except for Heisenberg. Like, his factory level was cool, but it dragged so much. Like, I got to a point where I was enjoying myself, but I was also like, yo, I need to get out of here. I'm over this level. I need to see the surface already. And it doesn't take away from the fact that his writing was cool, you know. He actually hits Ethan with the line, or Chris rather, or it's one of them. He's like, he references the boulder smashing that's real infamous from the DLC in Resident Evil 6.
That boulder punching asshole! But you're first!
Again, showing the I guess you could say, the direction the series takes sometimes, and it was still in this game, that direction we see, which is where it goes more action heavy, because the ending of the game was a lot of action. Specifically the Heisenberg boss fight, I was just like, yo, what am I, like, is this another game now real quick? Like, what's going on? And you get like this tank section where you're shooting the glowy points, and I was just like, all right, let's keep this going. It was fun to play through, but as far as like together with the rest of the story, it was just really out of place, the boss fight. Even though it made sense, again, all these characters have their powers, you know, more or less explained. So you're intrigued, you're not just there like, how the hell is he controlling metal and all that. Like, you understand that he could, if you look into, if you explore and whatnot, you see that he can actually like control the electric currents, like around anything, I guess. So he could like manipulate and whatnot. And Lady D, she could regenerate, she could, you know, stretch her hands out to get the claws. The fish dude, I forgot what his power was. He was okay. He was probably the weakest out of the 4 for sure. And God, I gotta write these names down. But the lady in the dollhouse, that was super creepy in the beginning. The big baby wasn't that crazy. Like, you knew something was coming. I was actually like shitting my pants when I was messing with the puppet and trying to figure out what clues I could get from it, you know, rolling the eye over. The level itself, it was just dark, super creepy, and then doll parts everywhere. Like, that's creepy enough, you know. So they definitely did their thing with the boss fights. Not too surprising, honestly. I enjoyed it for sure. And of course, you know, I want to talk about the final boss fight with Mother Miranda. They did it right with her, I feel, for sure, because you didn't see too much of her at all throughout the game. You know, you didn't even know exactly what her deal was as far as like her powers and her backstory, until, you know, Chris tells you everything later on in the game and explains why he shot Mia in the beginning. But yeah, her boss fight was really cool. It was when she was really like introduced right after the Heisenberg boss fight. Like, the presentation again was amazing. Her design was dope. I liked it a lot. I thought she was really menacing, and she actually like takes Ethan's heart out.
Don't worry. Your death will come quick. You will join the Megamycetes records. I will make sure to sample your blood for later. Once dawn breaks, the ceremony will be complete, and I will become her true mother, bound for eternity in blood.
I thought he was gonna be dead for real right here. I was like, oh wow. So, I mean, that's interesting. I thought it was pretty cool. But of course, you know, and this is something I thought about a lot earlier in the game. He obviously, his body isn't normal. His body is enhanced or something, because the dude is literally putting his hand back on without, you know, obviously you can't just put your hand back on like that. So I knew from the beginning that something was up with him. Maybe he has a history with a thing, or obviously, you know, things happen in Resident Evil 7. But he dies, and then you play as Chris for a bit, which was pretty cool. You know, you're running through the village again, like just shooting every zombie in sight. Like you have ammo to spare.
Takes a minute to bingo. All right. Reloading now. Just a minute. There's a swarm headed that way.
So that was pretty nice. Again, like I mentioned, it was a lot of action towards the end. But then we find Ethan still alive, and then you get the fight with Mother Miranda, which I thought, again, the whole layer, the music, her voice, the actress, like, it was all really cool put together. She could have, like, a lot was explained as far as her lore.
I've spent a lifetime creating this moment, and you try to take it away from me. I will take what is due. My desires will be fulfilled.
Like she obviously was a scientist with the man, I forgot his name, but with the man who basically founded Umbrella Corporation, and she has also this like, her motivations are clear because she's trying to bring back her daughter, and she's been doing this for years. Like, she extended her life, and she has all these powers, and she could shapeshift, basically like Mystique from the X-Men. So overall, she was a really cool character. The last fight was pretty fun, you know. And after the fight, you know, you get your daughter back and all that. And Ethan sacrifices himself for sure this time. Like, this time he's in bad shape. You know, you see him like crumbling up, like all the monsters you killed before from the sunlight or whatever, what have you. And he sacrifices himself to blow up the village, or the metamycete, the mold, basically. And I gotta mention again too, like, the lore in this game, like the whole thing with that mold taking control of the consciousness of whoever it kills, so it all becomes like one shared consciousness for the most part, which is why, you know, the villains might know something about you that you didn't expect. Some of the villains, rather. That is such a cool concept. So again, you know, it was intriguing throughout the whole game. You know, it was a fun playthrough. Like, the most I could say, the worst was literally just like some of the writing points, and the Heisenberg fight. It was just really out of place. I wish it stayed with that, you know, grounded feel where you're going through a house or corridors and it's really creepy and whatnot. But it didn't take away overall from the game. The game was great. We again end up getting an epilogue, basically, as a cutscene showing us a grown up, like, well, she's like 15 or 14, I think she says in the ending scene. Rosemary, the daughter, she's visiting her dad Ethan's grave. You know, she's having a conversation there and whatnot. And then this dude is waiting for her, this government-looking guy, and he calls her Evelyn.
Please. We have a situation. You're needed, Evelyn.
Don't you ever call me that again.
Whoa, it's just a joke, Rose.
I can show you things even Chris doesn't know I can do.
Which I thought was pretty funny, and it did give some clarity too, because, you know, when the baby was brought back, Mother Miranda was like, wait, what was going on? And I was still a little confused, so that was cool. But I'm overall, I can say like I'm really looking forward to the next game. This game's rating is gonna be a very strong 8 out of 10, 100% like recommended to anybody. Like even if you're someone who's not really familiar with the story, there's enough in this game to stand on its own for you to understand it and enjoy it. You know, there's even though it might not be as tension filled or scary as I might have liked, it's still a lot of tension there. There are a lot of moments in this game that will have you creepy, especially that will have you scared, especially during the first playthrough. Maybe even the second. I'm thinking about going back and just, you know, playing it on a harder difficulty and really like combing through the castle, combing through every level. But yeah, overall great game. Capcom, I feel like, you know, they're in a very excuse me, they're in a very good place with the Resident Evil series. I just hope they stay on this trajectory and not steer towards action or listen to, like, this sounds weird, but not listen to like criticisms like lower the tension curve. It's something that's so foundational with your franchise, and it's like you just, it's disservicing it. Like, I understand you want to reach a broader audience, you want to please everybody, you want to have a good relation with your player base, but I personally feel like, you know, demands like that, like we've seen it before with Dark Souls, where people want an easy mode. That's how those games are meant to be played. That's the developers and the artists' vision, and I do feel like we should respect that and give it a try, or at least play it once through how they wanted to, and then you go back and play easier or whatever you want. But yeah, that's a little side rant. Resident Evil 8 Village, 8 out of 10. Great game. Definitely go out and buy it, or wait till it goes on sale too, but it wouldn't be money badly spent, honestly. So that's the review. This was a little bit of a long one. It's the first video game review, and this is one I was really looking forward to because I love video games. But yeah, next video is gonna be Army of the Dead, so I'm gonna try to finish watching that movie, and after that we'll see what else comes out. You know, I'm looking forward to doing more. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like, dislike, share, subscribe for sure. It helps so you can know when the next video is coming out and whatnot. And I'm really trying to, you know, focus more on this show thing. So whatever you guys want me to review, please comment or hit me up in the Twitter. I'll write down the corner. And yeah, have a great day.